Welcome to the Halloween edition, the 10th installment of Renée and Darryl's Walt Disney World Honeymoon. I'm Renée.
And I'm Darryl. For those of you joining us for the first time, we're a middle-aged newlywed couple planning our honeymoon to the world during the 2019 Epcot Flower and Garden Festival. I need to disclose that I have Disney stock and retirement fund, and I am a Disney Visa card holder. But we're planning to stream these vlogs most Wednesday nights, and most of the time that's going to be from here, my GeoGearheads podcast studio. Last week I was coming back from San Francisco, but the week before we talked about ourselves and the wedding as we approached the first anniversary.
We also opened the fortunes that our guests wrote for us to open on our first anniversary. And one of those, they were all very nice, by the way. One of those was a set of coordinates that took us to an unpublished geocache. So we got the first to find, and that was the DNR Otterly matched. Perfect. GC7YVG6, if you're interested. Again, GC7YVG6. So thank you, RayQix, for hiding that in our honor and giving us the first to find. But since it's Halloween, and Darryl had a pretty good idea, we're going to talk about some of the things that frighten us about taking our trip to Walt Disney World. We're not really going to talk about anything scary, just the basic things that we're watching to keep the trip enjoyable and from getting out of hand.
Now, we could start with the usual money because it's very costly to go to the world, but we won't. We could complain about the crowds, but we're not going to talk about that either.
Not today.
Probably the first thing that comes to mind, though, is the risk of under or over planning.
Us?
Yeah. And one of the things that you hear a lot of the time is you can't go to Disney World without a plan. You have to strategize. But at the other end of that, people just over plan to the point where they have these rigid schedules that they go through.
I don't want to go on vacation on a rigid schedule.
No, but we
10
don't
minutes
want to
here
go
and 5 minutes there. No.
Yeah, we don't want to go without a plan and without getting those fast passes and stuff that.
For those, for sure.
Yeah, so we're going to have a rough idea of what we're doing, and definitely we went through the list a few weeks ago of the attractions we want to hit, and we aren't going to hit all of those. We know that. Just it's not going to happen.
I think it's okay to go with an outline and trying to figure out what we're going to do maybe each day, the plans we have for the day. But the only things that are kind of set in stone is when they tell us the time we have to be there on our fast pass. And we're not going to get that many of those, right? We can only do a couple ahead of time. 3
per day, only 1 for the tickets. And yeah, we'll get into that later on.
What if we have a day like we did last week? Usually on the weekends, we're up at 6 o'clock in the morning or 6:30 in the morning. No big deal. And last week, I don't think we got, even Fozzie didn't go outside before 8 o'clock in the morning any day last weekend. So what if we have some of those and we're on vacation?
Yeah. We want to be, we want to have a good structure, but flexible enough to enjoy it. And it is food and the garden festival, rather. Flower and Garden Festival.
There's going to be a lot of food from my understanding. Right. Is that me or you?
That's you. Sorry.
Sorry.
But, we've got a lot of the stuff that we're going to want to do like that, but have a good strategy. I'd like to do a rope drop one day just to...
You like to do a what?
Rope drop.
Oh, well, that would be fun.
That's just insanity.
I just want to see the craziness once.
Yeah.
I am a little afraid of the crowds, but I at the same time, there's certain things that are just worth seeing. It's kind of like I don't like flying, but I like going places, so I deal with flying.
Understandable. Okay. So that's the under and over planning thing. We don't want to get too structured. We don't want to not have enough of a plan that we're not doing anything.
Like dinner most nights. Well, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do?
That's typical for us. I don't think we're going to have that. We even have our restaurants picked.
Or by the foods that we've seen.
The
featured
menus
things, by
whatever.
the menus. Mm-hmm.
We've got Be Our Guests that we have to do for lunch because you can't do it for dinner because it's signature dining at that point.
That'll be pretty cool. There's sure. And which one is the one with the cars? We want to do pickup bills.
Oh, that's the Sci-Fi Diner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one we don't have planned in there because that's actually not on the meal plan.
Oh. So if we have one of those, if we have time,
would
be cool.
Yeah, we may or may not do that if we
might wait till next time.
Yeah. So,
but all the different
that's cool.
pavilions, we don't even know which countries are going to be there, the special ones, right? Because aren't there certain ones that are there for...
Oh, the flower and garden, I don't think they do that. You're thinking of the food.
Right. You're right.
But they do have things like honey. The honey growers had something. They had the cranberry thing one year. So they have different things like that. The butterfly gardens.
Okay, I hope it's not all raspberries and blueberries.
Maybe. We don't know. Yeah. What's something that you're really afraid of? I know something that in my mind is probably making you very nervous, but I want to see if this comes up. So what is it that you're thinking of that's going to make you nervous?
Well, I think there's a couple things that make me pretty nervous, but one, I mean, like being able to keep up with you. I mean, I like to have a lot of energy. My knees don't always agree with me.
I think that's kind of where I was thinking we would go with at least one of these, which is the walking. It is a lot of walking.
But I think that as I work up to it, I think we were doing really well, and then it got really cold and wet here. And I think that's when I started to not do well again.
Yeah. And one of the things we've talked about is trying to do mall walking. Because as we get cold and wet, as it is now, and it will be until we go.
In Michigan.
Right. The mall is a great place to go and get some walking in and start conditioning yourself. It's not as good as actually being outside.
Right. And it's completely different walking on tiles than it is walking on pavement or trails.
But it is a really good way to help build up some of that endurance. And I was more worried about it than I was after my trip to San Francisco, because I did I left the hotel at like 4:30 in the morning.
You still on Michigan time in California?
I'm stuck on Michigan time. I walked to Starbucks
at 4:30 in the morning or 5 when they open.
Yeah, at 5.
You were there.
I was there at open.
There's your rope
had
drop.
Breakfast and stuff. Walked around, did some geocaches, and put in 3.5 miles. Got back to the hotel. It was still
dark.
Early.
Oh.
Well, it was dark, but it was still early. I thought it was really
cool when you FaceTimed me from Pier 39, and it was, black, just like you couldn't see anything, but I could hear the sea lions. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, there was no sun in the sky.
Where they were. There was nothing.
It was like moonlight, a little bit of moonlight in the...
I guess so. I am afraid of just being like totally off schedule, because we're driving down there, and luckily we'll stay with my uncle for a night or two when we go, so maybe we can normalize ourselves.
Well, we're not going to change time zones.
No, I know that. It has nothing to do with time zones. It has to do with being in the car for 17 or 19 hours or whatever it is, and then 13. Trying to function.
I think it was 15.
I looked it up from our house to Uncle Larry. It said it was 17, and he's about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from Disney World.
Yeah, because he's kind of the...
so it's out of the way. So, but still, it's going to be quite a haul. And I mean, I was talking to my sister yesterday when we first moved to California, the first time for me, the second time for her. We were driving like around the bottom of the United States. And granted, that was a lot further from Missouri to California than we will be going to Florida. But like my mom literally slept the whole time in the back seat, and she woke up and she was so confused. And I'm afraid of being there and just like not sleeping, and then all of a sudden crashing or being too exhausted to enjoy something.
Yeah, which is another one of those fears, is that we're going to overdo it.
Right, because then we have to drive back.
So, yeah, but hopefully we'll be able to head back to the hotel midday, take a nap or whatever.
Well, any given day, that's true. But
right.
And then I don't know. I don't always do well with naps. Like I take a nap, then I'm up all night. Or I take a nap and I just keep sleeping all day.
This is true. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Where I was going, though, with the walking around in San Francisco, is I decided once I got back to the hotel, rather than taking an Uber to the mile and a half to the office, I was just going to walk it. It ended up taking a lot longer than it should have, because I got lost because I was paying attention to Google Maps. I wasn't paying attention to Google Maps, and Google Maps was getting lost because of the buildings.
Oh, so you were losing signal. So.
I lost signal. So I ended up walking something like 7 miles that morning.
To work. Between the two?
Yeah, between the two. And some of the other stuff just around. But yeah, instead of, a mile and a half, I ended up walking like 2.5 miles. So I was at like
At least you were in a pretty
6
place.
miles, and then
At least their office isn't like on California or Lombard Street.
it is on
Oh,
California.
it is on California?
Yeah.
That's a pretty...
Well, but it's in
At least that one's straight.
the financial district. It's not
that part of...
Yeah, it's not the slopey part.
That's where there's always chases in the movies. If they're in San Francisco, it's always on California Street.
Yeah, but that's further up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I walked past the Indonesian consulate. That was kind of funny.
That's fun. Did you see the FAO Schwartz there?
No.
Oh, I forgot about that till just now, because the first time I went there was when Star Wars was re-released. And there was like a Darth Vader that was like 3 stories tall, made out of Lego. It was really cool. I'm a nerd. It was really cool though.
We are nerds.
That's the FAO Schwartz where they from Big.
Yeah. One of the other things that I wanted to mention that's kind of frightening is getting a little too involved in the pin trading and letting that eat up too much time.
Yeah. Well, okay. At least we're not just watching pin trading vlogs anymore.
No, we did that for a while.
We did. And there's some things we want to do. But then Darryl bought me some really cool anniversary pins, or pins for our anniversary. And I mean, I definitely don't want to trade any of those.
No.
So I'm afraid when it comes to pin trading, either we're going to get too into it and not do the other things, or I'm just going to keep finding pins I like and I don't want to trade them.
Which is definitely a hazard.
At least we're not flying, because that would be like a whole nother suitcase.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons I really don't want to fly, is you really end up just having such a hard time packing to and from the world, because you always end up bringing back more than you expected to.
Right. Because, well, especially if we're staying on resort and you can order things and they just show up in your room.
I'm not sure they actually do that anymore.
Oh, okay. But still, the benefit of having our own car is, we get there and then we can go to Walgreens or wherever and get the toiletry stuff.
Well, and one of the things that we've talked about is going to Character Warehouse.
Oh, yeah, that'll be cool.
When we first get there, and see if we can't get some of the pins to stock up for trading, because we don't have a whole lot of the pins that we're bringing down
that we want
to trade.
Right.
Because
we like them.
Yeah, well, we've got like some sets that we tried to complete with the mystery packs that we could get from Shop Disney, and those usually don't show up there. You have the sets that you can get, but
they're not
still
the same.
Pretty much the same sets, and there's a lot of all these mystery packs that we'd like to get that aren't available. So
should have gotten some of the Halloween ones.
Yeah, though they're not available at Shop Disney though.
No, but we knew someone going.
Yeah,
but that's okay. There's a lot of things. I guess a lot of things around fears around pin trading, money,
and and getting out of control with it. But again, we're going to hopefully use the Visa card to get that kind of stuff, because anytime it's $50 or more, you get, I want to say it's 20% off.
I think it is 20% off, and then we earn money towards like Disney.
Well,
bucks.
you get the Disney bucks on top of that too.
So,
but yeah, it's rather than using the reward dollars, we're going to do that, and then the reward dollars that we've earned are going to go to things like, actually, Character Warehouse, I don't think gives you the discount. So, because it is a discount store to begin with. So if we go there, we might end up using the
Disney rewards.
The gift cards for that. And we're going to use it for things like the parking fees at the resort.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense.
So
I mean, when we went
to
Disneyland, since we didn't drive there, we flew there. We were able to buy 4 tickets, right? With our and lunch or something like that.
No, the lunch I didn't put on there. The lunch I paid for.
Okay.
But yeah, we got the 4 2-day tickets to Disneyland on the gift card with the money that we had spent on the Disney Visa card before. We're not anywhere close to that level this time around.
No, well, last time you had a
last time was like,
it was like
5, 6 years, something like that.
It's only been 2, right?
It's going to be a year and a half-ish.
Nope. Well, by the time we go, it'll be almost 2.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, not nearly as much on the card there.
No, but that's okay.
But yeah, you can get easily distracted and end up missing out. So a lot of the fear is that FOMO, the fear of missing out. That especially being down there during the festival, we want to make sure to hit that. And there's certain rides like Rock and Roller Coaster. I want to make sure to hit that and the Tower of Terror because I don't know how long those are going to be there.
Right.
They're going to probably be there for a while.
What I'm hoping though is when we go, right. I'm hoping when we go, we'll be a week before the major crowds.
Oh yeah, we're not there during the major busy time, and I think that's like a week or two after we go.
It starts the week,
and it's like
it starts the next week actually.
Does it? Okay, but it's like 2 weeks before is also the major crowds.
Right.
So we're in that sweet spot where the crowds aren't as substantial.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but like Tower of Terror has been converted at the Disneyland park at DCA. It's now Mission Breakout, which is. It's the Galaxy.
Oh, the Galaxy's
They hadn't opened it yet.
Right.
It's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I kind of want to ride that, but it doesn't seem nearly as cool.
Right.
It's cool, but it's just not the same.
I want to go to the Star Wars.
Yeah, that's not open
I
yet.
know. We keep going.
But
when
the Rock and Roller Coaster has been pulled from Paris.
Oh.
So that's gone. Actually, I think it's still open, but it's closing soon. It's been pulled off the 2019 park maps.
Okay. I never actually went into Disneyland in Paris. I just went to the equivalent of downtown Disney.
But yeah, these are rides that I expect to go away. We're hearing that Spaceship Earth is going to get an overhaul, so we want to hear it. Or we want to see that one before it does.
I want to. Yes.
Yeah, you haven't seen any of these.
No.
So I want to experience them again if I've experienced them before. Because not all of these have I had the chance to experience in my previous trips.
Okay.
So I want to make sure to hit all of these that we're talking about now. I have, but I want to go check some of these out because some of them are definitely going away. Some might go away. We're seeing,
even though we're thinking we want to go back in 2 years, we don't know that we're going to do that.
Right. Well, and there's going to be new stuff like the Tron coaster, the Ratatouille, which I'm so anxious to actually check out.
I really want to check that out. But I think the 50th will be really fun. I mean, this year Mickey is 90, right? 90. Yep. But in 2 years, Disney World will be 50. Well, right. 2 years
which I don't. I want to go back.
That's okay.
Yeah, I want to go back for the 50th in part because that's
my 20th or 30th rather.
29th.
30th. Yeah, the other one. Yeah, that.
You're 29th. 29th. But I want to go back for that. I just don't think we're going to be able to, especially with the rate hikes. And the tickets and everything.
Yeah, I really wish.
And they're not going to have the discounts on the on the resorts and stuff.
And we can't use honeymoon as a.
No. We can still probably do it.
We could probably go stay at Uncle Larry's resort.
I'm not driving an hour and a half every day to get in
every
there.
Day.
But there are some other things that we could do to keep the costs down with some of the other resorts. But I really don't think a lot of that pays off in the long run.
That's true. But you know what? When it's the 50th, maybe since it's not our honeymoon, if we go with other people, we could like rent a.
Well, that's one of the things I'd love to do.
Or one of those one villa of type things.
Yeah, no, I want to do one of those cabins at Fort Wilderness.
Oh, those look really cool.
Yeah.
How many people do they sleep?
I think it's supposed to be like 2 couples can sleep comfortably, but it's like 6 people.
So if we take like.
So it's like two like grandparents, parents, and 2 kids can supposedly.
Okay, well, I don't want to go with parents.
No. I'm just saying for
we
comfort
could
levels.
Possibly take some nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do that either.
We'll see. Other thing that I wanted to mention before we go is technology, because we've got so much that we can haul around for extra battery power. We want to play lots of the games, maybe do some live streaming from the parks.
That'll eat that up,
which eats up the batteries.
And then there's only so much that we can do with those.
The fuel rods. We'll talk about that in a minute. But we do have some of the battery cases for the phones, and we plan on, bringing 1 extra battery case for the phones in the parks with us.
Do they let you carry a backpack in the park?
Yeah, you can, but they have to go through it.
Of course.
And you have to take it on the rides. And this is one of the problems is we have to take all this stuff with us on rides and everything else. So we don't really want to be carrying around a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
Not a lot of weight because it's just
And
uncomfortable.
the whole waterproof thing for those rides.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of reasons to not carry much. So we want to go kind of light. We're going to do the battery pack case for the phones. We're going to have little cameras, nothing major, and the fuel rods, which are overpriced for what you get. But the cool thing is there are stations at all of the parks and at some of the resorts. I think actually most of the resorts.
I think so.
Where you just swap them out so you don't have to charge them.
Well,
so you bring one or two of those.
Charged.
When it's spent, you put it back in the machine, you get a new one out and you can go. So you don't have to carry around all that weight of the extra battery. So that
is pretty nice.
That's I hope going to be the saving grace, but we don't really know how much we're going to be doing with the phones and everything, because there's the Play app that we're going to be using in the parks. That's going to drain a lot of power. If we do live streaming, it's going to kill a lot of the power too. Plus, I definitely want to do some 360 stuff. And that camera doesn't have a very good battery life either.
Not at all. You've had to change it in the middle of a 20-minute run. So that's true. I guess on the route of technology, I know that everything is played, they have so much. I'm afraid that like too many people will be doing it and you'll just get blacked out and your phone just stares at you like, what do you want?
Yeah, especially because we're on T-Mobile, which is not one of the preferred providers down there. We could very well have issues with service.
Hopefully it won't be as bad as where were we? We just lose service.
That we have that at a lot of the places, but Wasion, Ohio, at the Fulton County Fairgrounds, we just don't have service.
Right.
So we're used to that kind of thing as geocachers.
But I hope that doesn't happen in Florida.
I hope so. But there is Wi-Fi in the parks. Not that I've read much about it recently, but 8 years ago or something like that, they made a big push to put Wi-Fi in the parks, in part because they needed to do that to get some of their My Disney Experience initiatives to actually be useful.
Right.
And that's one of the other things that I'm worried about is learning how to use My Disney Experience for all of this stuff that we're going to be
because we can't practice it ahead of time, so it doesn't really.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do ahead of time, and if you mess it up ahead of time, and then the fast passes are gone, then we're just up a creek.
Yikes.
But we'll talk about that in a later show as well.
Right. If you have any ideas of what you think we should talk about, please drop it in the comments and let us know. Are we wrapping? So thank you for watching, especially those of you who are watching live. And again, if you want to let us know anything or give us any ideas, drop it in the comments. And make sure to subscribe to our channel and click that little bell icon in the bottom to get notifications when we go live.
Yeah, and certainly if there's anything that we've forgotten that we should be afraid of, drop that in there too, so that we know.
Give us a good heads up.
Have missed, and everyone else too.
Yeah.
But we will be back next week, and we're going to talk more about our plans to deal with some of the tech things in the park. We've kind of touched on a little bit now, but we'll get into it a little bit more next week. So join us then.